Hello, welcome back, viewer. I've got a tragic, awful story for you today. I happened to come across this. This was posted on the Daily Mail, and let's see. This article is about. It says arrest after triple murder, motive a mystery after grandma, mom, and infant knifed to death in California home. That's absolutely horrible. This was published just yesterday, May 30th, 2026. The article says a grandmother, mother, and newborn baby were knifed to death inside a California home with law enforcement still trying to figure out what led to the heinous triple stabbing. Fabiola Gonzalez Nunez, 23, her 2-week-old son Mateo Gonzalez, and her 54-year-old mother Maria Silvia Nunez Villalobos were killed around 9:20 a.m. Thursday in Modesto, about 90 miles east of San Francisco. The Modesto Police Department said the triple homicide happened in the 1600 block of Monterey Avenue. Uh, I'm going to try to say his name. Is it Joaquin? Joaquin? Probably just butchered that. Joaquin Escoto, 28, was found hiding inside nearby residence and arrested for the killings, police said. Investigators said they believed he was in a relationship with Gonzalez Nunez, although the exact nature remained unclear. Escoto, a Mexican migrant, he was an illegal alien migrant, is thought to have lived in the home with the victims that he stabbed to death. Another child, a 3-year-old, was also found inside the residence and taken to the hospital for evaluation. Praise the Lord that this 3-year-old survived, and how horrifying for that 3-year-old. This is heartbreaking. Escoto was identified as the father of the uninjured child, whose custody was subsequently assumed by Child Protective Services. So the child's father is a murderer, multi-murderer. Oh my gosh. I mean, it doesn't get any more, it really doesn't get any more evil than this. I mean, these people should all be alive, and this baby should be alive. And I'm into, um, 2-week-old son Mateo Gonzalez was also found with stab wounds and later declared dead at a local hospital. I mean, it's the evil of that. The evil of that. That this guy allegedly, right? They'll have to look at the evidence, find out if it's the case, but allegedly this guy, he faces 3 counts of murder, special circumstances enhancements of using a deadly weapon. The Mexican migrant had reportedly been deported from the U.S. thrice, 3 times deported. So, illegal alien, shouldn't have been here. 3 times booted from the country, and yet clearly easily able to get back in. Those people should still be alive, and this should never have been allowed to happen. But the evil here, I mean, it's just evil. Like the psychological world, the criminologist world will come up with all kinds of reasons and excuses of how the poor, oppressed minority person who's got trauma in his life and all kinds of reasons for and systemic racism and oppression. Like I come up with all kinds of reasons to empathize. All kinds of reasons. They come up with reasons why you wouldn't be fit to stand trial, like in the Irina, the Ukrainian woman who was killed. They've come up with reasons that the guy who murdered her, isn't fit to stand trial, and keep delaying it. They've delayed it because of that. Isn't like competent to stand trial, and he was a repeat criminal. And so there's people that will come to defense of this. And frankly, it strikes me as there's all kind of a common moral threat. Like frankly, Satan, evil, kind of likes to defend his own. And so the same kind of evil that's working in the murderer, that sinfulness is also working in the kinds of people who would look on the murderer with all kinds of excuses and empathy and justify it. Now, these are the same kind of people who wouldn't bat an eye at labeling people who are conservative or MAGA as evil and hateful and fascist. They're the same kind of people who would likewise laugh at the death of Charlie Kirk, or laugh at, as far as assassination attempts on Trump. Like it's really there's a deep rooted evil there, and the root of it all is sin, sin, and we're all susceptible to sin. I see it as a linked manifestation that there's an evil that would want this person to get off, that would want to make excuses for this kind of thing, because then there's the evil of the judges and DAs who are soft on crime, the politicians who create laws that are soft on crime that will let people out. They'll allow a situation like this where he's deported multiple times and he's easily able to get back into the country, because there hasn't been serious consequences to discourage this kind of thing from happening. So, anyway, let's keep going. Let's see. He was born in Jalisco. Probably saying that wrong. He'd been deported from the U.S. 3 times prior to the alleged triple homicide. Basically, a murder for every time he was expelled from the country. He was most recently arrested for a DUI in June, but set free after being taken into custody despite Immigration Customs Enforcement seeking to deport him, the outlet reported. So, because of sanctuary city laws in California, again, that root of sin, that root of sinful lawlessness, takes is manifest in these kind of laws that encourage lawless behavior. So, been deported 3 times. Uh, he's going to murder 3 people, and he's driving around drunk. Another drunk illegal alien who shouldn't be in the country driving around. I'm so tired of hearing about people, about families being killed because they've been hit in their vehicle by like an intoxicated illegal alien that shouldn't be here. Go be drunk in your own home country. You don't have to be drunk in America. Go be drunk somewhere else. If you're going to do crimes, do it in your own country. Don't do it in our country. It's really that simple. Like we got plenty of our own criminals. We don't need to be importing more criminals. We got enough criminals that liberal judges keep letting off easy over and over again. We don't need to be importing more of it. And yet that's what the left wants. Escoto was able to remain in California because of its sanctuary laws, which limit state and local law enforcement cooperation for federal immigration enforcement. The Modesto Police Department said it had initially found that Gonzalez Nunez had been stabbed multiple times upon responding to the home. She was declared dead on the scene. Officers found Nunez, Villalobos, and the baby Mateo shortly thereafter. So much for strict weapons laws in California, so much for the gun control laws, right? Because if people still want to kill and are willing to commit crimes, they're still going to do it. And actually, if if any of these women, if either of these women had been armed, they might have been able to protect themselves. But that's discouraged on the left. They don't want you defending yourself. They don't want you armed. They want the only people to be armed is the people that are gonna be violent, who are willing to commit crimes, as well as the state, as in the government. Like out one side of their mouth, it's no kings, and that the government is systemically oppressive, and then out the other side of the mouth, it's that only the government should be armed and only criminals should be armed, and also that criminals should get every excuse that can be pumped out of the psychological world for why they do what they do, and that what the Justice Department needs to do is let them off easy over and over again, and that everybody should just empathize with them. Nunez Villalobos was also pronounced dead, but the toddler was rushed to a local hospital. The infant also suffered stab wounds, was declared dead there. And what kind of evil, evil person does this? I mean, it should be death penalty. You confirm Whatever evidence is needed, you confirm it, and the rope, the firing squad, whatever, the lethal injection, whatever. Like, take them out back behind the court and do it. Shouldn't be that hard. One murder should be enough. One person's life should be enough. Three, three should be do not pass go, do not collect 200 appeals, be just real easy. You prove it, execution. Why are we dealing with this anymore? Escoto faces 3 counts of murder, special circumstances, enhancements, and using a deadly weapon versus murder not using a deadly weapon. It's more murder if you use the deadly weapon. Authorities said Escoto also had an outstanding arrest warrant related to a prior driving under the influence case. Oh my gosh. There's got to be a stereotype around this as far as the drunk driving illegals. And then the leftists get offended, like, oh, don't call them illegals. Well, one, that is their literal legal status. That's the legal terminology. And then the left will be like, well, that's dehumanizing. It's like, no, that's actually very humanizing. We hold humans to laws. We hold humans to customs and immigration laws. We hold humans to laws around crime and murder and stuff. It's very humanizing to refer to people through legal terms because they are people. I'm not talking about an animal here. I'm not talking about I don't know, a squirrel across the border. I'm talking about a human being repeatedly violating our crimes and crossing the border and being legally an illegal alien. It's just terminology, and it's terminology for people. It's very humanizing. We know what's very inhumanizing is stabbing a bunch of people to death, including a baby. That's very inhumanizing. Will the left be out on the streets protesting about this? No. Only if it has to do with police. Only if it has to do with federal agents. Only if it can be something directed at conservatives or MAGA or Trump or blamed on racism. Then they'll be out there. But this is an illegal alien other killing his Hispanic girlfriend, her mom, and baby. I mean, the people within the people in these communities suffer the most. When the woke liberal CRT DEI ideology judge lets the criminal off over and over and over again so that they can go get stabby on the subway or whatever they're going to do, that hurts the minorities in that community. Most crimes uh, are committed within one's own like minority group, within one's own racial group. When they're letting people out over and over again, the people that suffer for it are the other in this case the other migrants. I don't know if this woman and her mom were legal or illegal. I don't know what their immigration status is, but they suffered the consequence of the law taking it too easy and our borders being too lax that allowed this guy to come over 3 times. He's driving around drunk, getting caught, could have been arrested and deported a 4th time or kept here and punished in jail because of his violations. Instead, he was protected by the sanctuary city laws. I don't know what's happening here in this picture. I mean, obviously they're arresting him. I don't know why this guy's got his gun up. Looks like a SWAT team. This guy's gun up too. Okay, a GoFundMe started to help cover the funeral and counseling expenses for the family. Said the deaths marked a heartbreaking loss that words cannot adequately express. They can't. You're right. There's no words for this. There is no words for this. Nunez Villalobos was tributed as a cherished grandmother who loved her family deeply. Meanwhile, her daughter Gonzalez Nunez was honored as a devoted mother whose love for her children was endless. The toddler Mateo was remembered as a precious baby whose smile and innocence brought happiness to everyone around him. I mean, it's just so disgustingly horrible and tragic. It says the devastating circumstance surrounding this tragedy have left our family shattered. The memorial read in a single moment. Generations of love, memories, and dreams for the future were taken from us. As of Saturday, $30,500 had been raised. A family member identified himself as Javier, said his family was devastated, but also expressed relief at Escoto's arrest. Nunez was believed to be in a relationship with Escoto at the time of the triple homicide. I mean, I just any murder is evil and tragic and despicable, and there's no excuse. And then killing a baby is just so beyond the pale. Let's see. So I think it was Javier is quoted down here. You can't really do anything to bring them back no more, but we just know that he's going to be in there for a long time, suffering, thinking about what he did. I mean, for one, he shouldn't be in his prison term should be only as long as it takes to get like the execution set up ready to execute him. The notion that somebody should go on living for the rest of their life while the victim is dead in the ground is just absurd. It's absurd to me. I think it's an evil position. I think it's an ungodly position. I don't think it's a biblical position at all to be in support of murderers getting to live the rest of their lives. Maybe they'll feel bad about it. Maybe they won't. They might just go on living a life of crime while behind bars. And this happened in California, so he might be let out again someday. I don't know. I mean, there could be people who look on pity on him a decade from now, and he gets let out. The family member added, "That's what's going to be killing him." I mean, I would, if that is the case, that he gets, I would hope at least would get life in prison. He should never be free again, never ever ever be free again. And I don't care what kind of transformation happens, good times served, somebody's behaving themselves in prison while they're under lock and key and guards, and there's consequences for their behavior, like, oh, they're behaving themselves. Oh, therefore you should be punished less because you're behaving yourself in the cage. No, you should still continue to receive whatever your punishment was. It's just good that you're not making it worse. Like you're just doing the baseline of what you ought to be doing serving your sentence. I would hope and pray that he does come to a place of repentance because my perspective as a Christian would be that anybody can repent and be saved by Jesus. But that does not mean that somebody doesn't get the consequences they deserve. The thief on the cross next to Jesus, who also died being crucified, was like no reasoning is given from Jesus that, oh well, it's wrong that this guy is being executed. The guy being executed acknowledges that he's being justly executed for his crime, but that Jesus was dying for something he didn't deserve. And so the right thing to do for the criminal is to repent and go, you know what, whatever crime, whatever punishment the justice system is dishing out is the punishment that is deserved. And to take that punishment repentantly and then to trust in God. And so, it definitely comes as begrudgingly, Lord, help me love people, help me love my enemies more, because it's definitely with begrudgingness when I read a story like this, it doesn't beget strong feelings of wanting to pray for somebody that they could be saved when they do something absolutely horrible and despicable like this. At the same time, that is, as Christians, what we're called to do. That Jesus died for everybody's sins, but that doesn't mean that they don't get punished in this life. And what the justice system is supposed to do, the right thing to do, as the bearer of the sword of God, what the justice system is supposed to do is deliver punishment for things. And in the case of taking a life, it should be life for life, because that honors the full value of what a person's life is. It's not about preventing recidivism. Obviously, people can't recidivize and commit more murders if they've been executed. So, like the notion that, well, um, you don't have to use execution to stop recidivism is absurd. There shouldn't be any opportunity for recidivism after murdering someone. If you take a life, the right thing is that you lose your life. You have forfeited your life. And that should be the cultural standard. That should be the cultural expectation. Unfortunately, because our joke of a justice system, it's not like that. And so what we don't really know the deterrent value of that. We don't we don't I mean, I think oh, what's the else is it El Salvador where they've gotten really hard on crime and locked up like tens of thousands of criminals, and all of a sudden their murder rates have have dropped precipitously because, oh my gosh, if you actually get the criminals off the streets and keep them off the streets, keep them from victimizing people, your crime rates go down. If they're locked up, they can't kill people. Oh my goodness, what a concept. But the basic moral thing to do would be, if you've got the strong evidence that you can confirm that somebody has killed somebody, that somebody has murdered somebody, that their life is forfeit. And the cultural expectation should be that everybody should know in the country, and anybody breaking into our country, everybody in the world should know that if you're in America and you murder somebody, that just means you've checked off your own life and gone, okay, my own life is going to be forfeit then. That should be the expectation, that you know if you do it and you get caught, then you are going to die. Is that worth it to lose your life? Not go to jail, not maybe get appeals, not get to like live in the prison community working out and having visitations and getting appeals, and maybe 20 years down the road you get some sympathetic somebody who a governor maybe, or some means happens where you end up getting let off. No, no, it so belittles the lives of the victim, the suffering of the victim. All the suffering of all these family members gets belittled by not holding people to the highest count that they ought to be. And then what else was I going to say about this? So, oh, this happens because sanctuary cities, liberal policies incentivize and protect these criminals. Because of the sanctuary cities, then the law enforcement in these cities are not able to be handing over someone like him over to the federal authorities to be deported again. Not that just catch and release deporting people over and over again obviously wasn't working. He was deported 3 times. Obviously, he would have just come back. Maybe wouldn't have been able to with stricter borders under Trump. Maybe it would have saved them at least for a few years. Maybe it would have shown back up. And then people on the left can't seem to comprehend. I see it in the comments section. Scrolling down here. Oh my gosh, gotta scroll past a bunch of stuff. You see comments like this: there's 16,000 homicides per year in the U.S., roughly 44 per day, yada, yada, yada. Overwhelming majority of homicides are committed by people here legally, primarily U.S. citizens. Why is the publication cherry pick and only report on the odd homicide committed by an illegal? All homicides in the U.S. are equally horrific. Because MAGA likes these stories. It makes them feel better about voting for a dumpster fire who is destroying America. Oh, how sad to see MAGA doesn't think all homicides are horrific. They only appear to care about crimes committed by illegals. I just can't comprehend the level of stupidity on display here. This is an extreme level of stupidity. Every crime committed by an illegal alien is a crime that didn't need to happen here in the United States. If there was X number of crimes committed, if there were 100 crimes committed by legal citizens, then every crime committed by an illegal alien in the United States is X plus, well, plus sign, plus, I don't know, the Y, I'm doing hand motions here, of additional crime, additional murders that did not need to happen here. They could happen in their own country. Maybe they wouldn't do these things in their own country. I don't know. They can do whatever they want. They have their own country. They have their own place of national origin. They have their own place of citizenship. That's not America. I'm not worried about the crimes down there. I'll pray for those other countries. They can deal with their own stuff. I'm worried about the crimes in my own community, my own city, state, country. They can be concerned. The people in their country can be concerned about the crimes there. I can't affect them. They shouldn't be affecting mine. I'm not going to another country committing crimes. I don't want other people coming to my country committing crimes. Every single crime is an extra crime. Yes, every single murder and homicide matters. Every single one pisses me off to read about. Every single story about crime that I read does that little thing inside of me that pisses me off because I hate crime. I did enjoy my criminal justice program. That was my undergrad. So I like talking about crime. And yet I hate crime. So what else can I say? Like it's so stupid that people cannot comprehend that yeah, I can be mad about homicides and murders happening in the US. And I'm also mad when a political party, the Democrats, the left, are also encouraging, incentivizing more criminals being here, more crime happening on top of whatever is happening from citizens. I'm also pissed at them for the crimes that they encourage through their policies um, with citizens in the country. Like, uh, MAGA conservatives are just as concerned also about the other crimes too. I mean, people on the right talk about issues with crime and left-wing policies like all the time. Okay, so there's this hand waving dismissal that this is basically the cost of doing business, that we just have to live this way, like American Western countries just have to like do their duty of accepting whoever and however many of anyone who wants to come here, regardless of our laws, regardless of our border and immigration laws. Like they don't think that we should even be able to have laws or regulate those things. Just any amount of people can come, and who cares about who they are, their background, or anything like that. And then that they can just flagrantly violate our laws here, and then how dare you be concerned about it? How dare you point out when the illegal alien commits a crime instead of a news story on a citizen committing a crime? We should just be sticking our head in the sand, pretend it's the same thing. That an illegal alien that's been deported 3 times and was able to come back in over and over and over again is the exact same situation, has no other political ramifications than somebody who's just, I don't know, Joe Blow American citizen who commits triple murder. They they are different things. There are different things that pertain to this. There were things that could have been done in the situation of the illegal alien guy that are different than the situation of the citizen. You know, you can't just go and deport all the people who might be murderers or who are murderers. They get sentenced to prison and they should be executed for their crimes. You can predict if they've got a litany of violent crimes already that they've been arrested for, that they might be escalating to something worse. Maybe they should be punished more uh, before they get to the point of the murder. Or, that's its own. That would be a different video. Like, well, uh, how do you prevent murder in society? Well, probably discouraging it with the death penalty would be a start. Discouraging it by having a justice system that actually like quick get that people would receive fair and speedy trials and would receive the consequences due of their crime, rather than the justice system being like a process of endless appeals and things. And it starts with like, oh, you get let out, you get like no bail release the same day, And then, you know what? Maybe you never even show up for court and you just have like a warrant out, but it doesn't really matter. And then maybe eventually, maybe you get arrested again, and maybe you don't show up for court again. And then maybe you get arrested like a third time. And then you go before the judge, and the judge is super lenient. You're just like, I'm sorry, judge. And then the judge just lets you off with a slap on the wrist. You get a little probation. And then you violate the probation. And then you go before the judge again. And then the judge gives you more probation. And oh, you get caught with like a an illegal gun you're not supposed to have, or maybe you were part of a shooting, and then the judge gives you a slap on the wrist again. Like maybe that isn't working just on the criminal justice side. I mean, not to speak of other cultural things going on, but just on the criminal justice side, like maybe that is not adequately dealing with crime in our country. But I don't get this stance that as if conservatives aren't concerned about other crimes going on. I mean, again, I think conservatives are constantly pointing out. I know I mentioned it many times on my channel. Conservatives speak out about crime all the time, and the injustice that is the justice system letting people off too easy, and that this is an injustice to the victims. And then on the other end of it is that at the same time, we also speak out about massive abortion, the whole abortion industry. There's millions of babies that get aborted. There's like over 1 million babies that get aborted a year. Every single one of these, if left to develop, would have become another human being. They're being murdered in the womb. It is systemic oppression. It is a system of oppression of the unborn to keep them from being born. And it's probably one of, if not the greatest mass murder in human history. I mean, the only thing that could compete with it is all the mass murder committed by communist countries. And even so, communist countries have massive abortion too, like China and their like one child policy for years or decades. So I mean, they've probably racked up many tens, if not hundreds of millions of abortions under their belt as well. But again, this is a case of the difference is innocence. The unborn baby is innocent of something, and the left can't comprehend that. Like, how can you support the death penalty for murderous criminals, but then also you're against innocent unborn babies being killed? We can't wrap our. That's a contradiction and hypocrisy. You don't support life because you think that people who murdered people should be executed for their crime. Oh, just can't comprehend the, just can't comprehend that. Like, can't comprehend that your behavior would have consequences. I know this is anathema to the left. How can behavior has consequences? Behavior should be punished. The behavior of murdering someone is different than a baby just trying to survive inside of the womb of its mother so that it can be can grow up and be born. Oh my gosh, those are different things. And yet the left can't, many on the left can't comprehend this. The more honest ones admit that it is just killing a baby because the baby's inconvenient and they don't want it. But there's still, after decades of this, after decades since Roe v. Wade and that terrible decision, still the feigning, and they call it healthcare and women's rights to be able to kill the little male and female babies in their womb. That little human doesn't get the rights. But then they'll simp for the murderer. I can't comprehend that. I can't comprehend. But well, actually, okay, I can kind of comprehend it because at the root of it again is sin. It's evil, the same evil that wants to save the life of the murderer and justify them, and frame it as the justice system being the one that's bad, and that the people who would want them executed rightly are the ones that are bad, are the same ones that will loudly protest and advocate for the right to be able to kill their own children in the womb. even having children out with signs protesting on that behalf. The lack of self-reflection, I mean, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. The unfortunate reality is that politically the left is directed by anti-police, anti-prison, anti-morality, anti-justice ideology, Marxist ideology. The left is essentially led by criminals who want criminals to be free in order to further demoralize and degrade the United States. It's part of a wider Marxist agenda. It's why the likes of someone like Hassan Piker, an openly self-ascribed socialist, Marxist, communist guy, is on video telling his video about how he likes crime, encouraging people to like steal from companies, to commit bank robbery. Like I saw a video of him saying like he wants people to do bank robberies again, something like that. As well as calling for the blood of capitalists, encouraging violence, encouraging murder. That's why the likes of him, I mean, he's basically the voice of the radical left, which is really the place that is becoming mainstream for the Democratic Party. They're catering to the left, and this demoralization serves the moral, legal, and economic erosion of Western society. It's what Marxists have wanted in the West for like 100 years, maybe more. And unfortunately, the judges, the politicians, the governors who side with these soft on crime policies, they're taking their DEI lens, their CRT lens, which is based ultimately rooted in Marxism, and they are practicing it through these policies, all while pretending and feigning that they care about justice, as they call it, social justice. It's critical justice, which is the Marxist lens of what justice is, which is a totally backwards, upside down form of justice, in which criminals are victims and victims don't really matter, or even worse, had it coming, which is the likes of, again, people like Hassan Piker, who talk about the United States deserving to be attacked for 9/11 and things like that. The reality is that the population suffers under these people. Uh, in this case of this article, three people three people are dead, and this murderer will probably live off the dime of the taxpayer for decades and decades, taking up millions of dollars instead of getting the death penalty he deserves. And that's a final slap in the face to every American citizen. It's a slap in the face to the Californian citizens, even to the ones who would simp for and support this guy being in prison, or rather than getting the death penalty, or would even frame him as the victim of systemic white oppression, BS like that. Um, and then, of course, there's also there's the risk that he continues to pose. He will continue, if he's just locked up in prison, he will continue to pose a risk to guards and inmates as well, because people don't stop committing crimes just because they're in prison. But according to the left, basically the suffering must continue until morale improves. They'll keep simping for criminals, siding with crime until morale improves. I think that this story should sicken anybody. This should not be a politically divisive story, and yet you can see from the comments section in this article that it is. Everybody should be in the streets upset about this. And but conservatives have jobs and responsibilities, whereas there's a lot of people on the left who are getting welfare for whatever reason, have the time, they don't have to worry about it, and can go out and violently protest day after day against federal agents in support of alleged murderers like this guy. So okay. I think I've said everything I want to say about that. Oh, but the left only gets upset when it's police or ICE upholding the law against their criminal constituents. They'll riot on behalf of this guy being arrested. They'll riot on behalf of Renee Good getting herself shot because she drove towards ICE officers. They'll riot on behalf of George Floyd and his fentanyl overdose while in police custody. And at the same time, will they riot for the victims of this horrible murder? Will they riot on behalf of this woman? Will they riot on behalf of the murdered baby? No, I would expect crickets from that. And the rest of us don't get our, as our country is being invaded, as our laws are being ignored by the left. We really aren't, we on the right do not get upset enough to actually go do our own sorts of protests like that. Not nearly so much. And because we know that the book will get thrown at us if we were to behave anything like how the left behaves. You know that liberal DAs, prosecutors, judges, whatever, especially if in a blue city, especially if in a blue state where they have more power, that they would be throwing the book at any conservatives if they were doing half of what the left goes out and does every day, fighting with police, blocking off roads, hassling people, getting in people's face, blowing sirens and things, assaulting journalists, the things that the setting things on fire. If we did half of the stuff that the left does, I mean, there's just there would be severe consequences in that case. There wouldn't be empathetic understanding, all kinds of elaborate explanations and psychological explanations for why there needs to be understanding for why the conservatives are upset. Oh no, oh no, it would just be throw the book at them. So no standards but double standards from the left. Pray for this. Pray for the family of these people, and pray for America to turn away from all sorts of evil. Yeah, those are my thoughts on this Sunday afternoon. And pray for justice. I hope there's justice. I hope that we can have more secure borders. Yeah, you know what? You can pray for the countries south of the border too, because what I would want is for every country to be able to be as free and prosperous as America is, for those other countries to have stronger, less corrupt criminal justice systems, better policing, better laws, to have the sorts of constitutional freedoms, free speech, and right to bear arms that we have in America, the freedoms to engage in commerce and things, to be able to be to be able to have the successes that we have here in America. So yeah, I mean that's always a good thing to remember, to pray for people in other countries as well, because I'd love to see the standard of living raised in countries throughout the world. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. So if you like this kind of thing, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.